Sham Sharadava Nalalidaloka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Samsaradava Nalalidaloka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Prapta Sakalyana Gurnanavasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Prapta Sakalyana Gurnanavasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasurasena Mahaprabhu Romanchakam Pastro Taranga Bhajo Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringara Tanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Juktasya Bhaktamsya Niyunjatopi Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasada Satana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Kridvaiva Tripti Bhajata Shadeva Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Shiradikama Dhabayarapara Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shiradikama Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Pratikshana Dhanalalupasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam Nekunjayono Ratikelisidhai Jayalibir Yukti Apekshaniya Nekunjayono Ratikelisidhai Tatrati Daksha Atibalavasya Vande Gurashi Charanaravrindam. Sakchadhari Daina Samasta Shashri Ruktastathava Vyataiva Sarvi. Kintu Prabhaja Priya eva tasya Bande Gora Shri Charanara Vrindam. Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi. Yasya Prasadam Sadam Yasya Prasadam Dayam Stuvam Tasya Yasatrin Sandhyam Bande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam. Dayam Stuvam Tasya Yasatrin Sandhyam Bande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam. Nama O Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Mine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachatari Shatarine. Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hariyaraye Nama Krishna Jadavaye Nama Jadavaye Madhavaye Kesavaye Nama Gopal Govindaram Shimadhusudan Giridhari Gopina Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Shri Radha Nila Madhav, Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur. Jayam Vishwapara Paramsa Prabha, Jakachari Sutra Sarashishima. Ituvan Gaze, Abhacharavina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Pratishta Bhiviti Samstapakachar Vaishnava Saramani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patiti Udhara Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhadra Gunath Shri Bhagopala Bhattadasa Guna Sadguru Swami Prabhu Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Param Vyasa Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Manana Sankirtanika Janaka Prema Purushottama Ki Sachinanda Nishmanguranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mahavrana Avatar Ki Jai. Golokera Pramadhan Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai. Yugadharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Brihadanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Radha Kunsama Kun Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Braja Bhum Vrindavan Mathur Dham Ki Jai. The Lordship Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai. Maya Purnavadup Eka Chakradham Ki Jai. Parama Karuna Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Purushottama Kitra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Swami Baladev Prabhu Smaspadra Devi Sudarshan Chakra Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakti Sarva Vignam Nashna Krishngare Bhagavan Ki Jai. Sitaram Lakshman Bhakti Hanuman Ji Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Vrindi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dharani Ki Jai. Shamaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Nitai Gauri Pramanandi. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. What is it?
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste
Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Pralada lada dahine. Pralada lada dahine. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Shiladanka Nakalaye. Ito Narsingha Bharato Narsingha.
Ito Nisingha Bharata Nisingha.
Ito Narsingha Bharato Narsingha.
Ito Nisingha Bharata Nisingha.
Yato yato yamitato Narsingha.
Jato
Yato yamitato Narsingha. Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Ahir Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Narasingha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Narasingha
Madim Sharanam Prapade Tava Karakam Tavare Nakam Buddha Shingam Dalita Ranyakashipur Tanubingam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Abakara Kamala Bare Nakam Adabata Shinga Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanavinga Kesavadita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re Jai Jagadisha Re
Jayo Narsimha Dev Jayo Narsimha Dev Jayo Narsimha Dev Jayo Narsimha Dev
Jaya Nisingare Jaya Nisingare Jaya Nisingare Jaya Nisingare
Jayo Bhakta Prahlad Jayo Bhakta Prahlad Jayo Bhakta Prahlad Jayo Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jai Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Jai Gurudev
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol
Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Bhakta Vigna Vinasha Lakshmana Dev Bhagwan ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakta Shironi Prahlad Maharaj ki jai.
Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradirive Satavatai Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradirive Satavatai Mama Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Pradideve Satabhaktaya. Jai Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai.
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namo.
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी
Radha Krishna Seva Pavan Hey Abhilasi.
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Hey Abhilasi.
जितो मारा शरण लो तारा पंचपूरण हो
Jai Tumhara Sharanana Taravancha Purna.
कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी
Tumi kripa kare karatare Vrindavana vasi.
मुराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास
Moraye Avila Vilas Kundevi Yava.
नायाने हरि वो सदा जुगल रूपरासी
Aminayane Rivasada Jugalarparasi.
ए निवेदाना धारो साखीर अनुगाता कोरो
Ene Vedana Dhara Sakirayanu Gatakara.
सेवा अधिकारा दिए कोरो निज दासी
Seva Yade Karadi Karani Jadasi.
दीना कृष्णा दासे कोए जीना मोरा होए
Dina Krishna Das Ko Enamora.
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी
Shri Radha Govinda Premi Sadai Navasi.
श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी
Shri Radha Govinda Premi Sadai Navasi.
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्राणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Yani Kani Sapa Brahma Karika Nisa Tani Tani Prana Santi Pradachina Pare Pare
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि सपापानि ब्रह्मात्तरिकानि सा तानि तानि प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि सपापानि ब्रह्मात्तरिकानि सा तानि तानि प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी जया तुलसी महारानी
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी जया वृंदा देवी
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की जय
Jai. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prari Devi Satavatai Namo Namah. Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prari Devi Satavatai Namo Namah. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prari Devi Satavatai Namo Namah. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. To overtake shelter of his wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him and make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan. Thus within my vision I will always behold beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg to make me and follow the God with them, Mrs. Obraj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me home myself. It is very full and the Lord is serving Krishna praise. May I always sing in love of Shri Shri Radha and Gauri, Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikh Rastakam Ki Jai. Jito Narpanamatanam Bhavamada Bhaivapam Shri Akasha Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jeevanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Patipadam Punamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Ita Drushitava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaiva Midrisham Janinanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sashnuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Na Dhanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatar Bhakti Rahituki Tvai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paritama Vusame Bhavambudo Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stitaduli Sadrisham Vichintoyo Nayanam Galora Shudharaya Vadanam Gata Gata Hridaya Gira Purakari Chitam Vapukada Tavanam Agrahane Bhavishyati Jugaitam Nimishena Chakyusha Prabhusaitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahiname Aslishva Padaratam Pinashtamam Adarshanar Marmahatam Karotuva Jatata Thava Viradatulam Pato Matprana Tastusa Ivana Paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikh Rastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tvishe Namaha. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life with repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govind. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting these names, O my Lord. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lowered and strong in spirit, one should be more turned than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or rather, I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and it sure remains so. Even if he handles me rightfully by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Jai Shri Shri Shukyastakam ki Jai. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme devotees who dedicate a life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods the Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as spiritual activity. Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct the friendless person about the glories of holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desire, success, Krishna, Prema. Now let's offer our Muslim
and therefore compassion on all individual souls. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Om Magana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pachakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaguna Lalita Shri Visakha Nimitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Shrimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namini Shri Varsuvanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastate Namaste Guruvani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gora Kishoraya Shakshadvairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambhade Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Vir Baba Bhumestvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanshakalpa Turabhyascha Kripa Sindhuvye Bacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Tuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Pangur Mama Manda Matir Gati Matsava Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Dvindaranya Kalpadumada Shimad Ratnagara Simhasana Stito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastali Bihi Sevyamanam Smaraham Sevamana Smarami Shiman Rasara Sarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswanir Gopir Gopinatak Striyesturna Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nishananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakada Satma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriti Susurabhira Vipaliantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kwananta Aravinda Dadayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesa Sobam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnam Gudam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shyamam Tribanga Lalita Niyata Prakasam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kaliyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vede Sudurlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manaso Muni Pungamanam Sopyasti Yat Prabhadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chaitum Jagadanda Kotim Yaschakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayayadanta Andanta Rasta Paramanu Chayanta Rastam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Pan Yadbhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasta Taiva Sampraptya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusa Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabirya Eva Nijarupa Tayakalabi Goloka Eva Nivasat Akilakma Bhuto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksade Vinaradesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Amenatistan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvanesu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sobhavat Paramam Pumanyo Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koti Swasesu Vasudadi Vimutti Vinam Tad Brahma Niskalam Anantam Asesa Bhutam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Hiyasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Trigunyatad Vishaya Veda Vitayamana Sattva Valambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasu Ya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya Lila Yatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Golokanamni Nichatamni Talechatasya Devi Mahesa Haridama Sute Sutesu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Yena Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Shristi Stati Pralaya Sadhava Sakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichanurupam Apiyasya Chachesta Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Visesa Yogat Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetu Yasambutam Apitata Samupaitikar Yat Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Deepartsadev Hita Santal Mabhyapetya Deepayate Vivita Hetu Samanu Dharma Yastadrik Eva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami bhajami yakarna narna vajale bhajatisma yoga nidram ananta jagadanda saroma kupa adhara shakti avalambya param swamurtim govindam adi purisham tamaham bhajami yasyaika nisvasitakala matavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadanda nata vishnur mahansahi yasya kala vishesha govindam adi purisham tamaham bhajami baswan yatasma sakalesu nijesu tesha sriyam kiyat prakatiyat apitad vadatra brahmaya esa jagadanda vidana karta govindam adi purisham tamaham bhajami yat pada palava yugam vinidaya kumbha twande swanam Ramaniye Sagadin Raja Rilad Midhantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahi Gaganamambu Marudisascha Kalas Tatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Jancha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Savitasa Kalagrahana Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesa Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo Tapapa Nichaya Sutayasta Pamsi Brahmadi Kita Patakava Deyasta Jiva Yadata Matra Vivaha Prakata Prabhava Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Matavendra Mahoswa Karma Bandhanu Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintucha Bhakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bitti Vatsalya Moho Guru Gora Vasevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadrasim Tanumapurete Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusham Kalpataravo Drumad Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivamsi Priyasaki Chidanantam Jyoti Param Apitadaswadyam Apichasa Yatra Shiradibhya Shirabhati Shirabhya Vyashchusumahan Nime Sardakyuva Rajati Nahiya Trapi Samaya Bhaje Svita Dvitvam Tamaham Iha Golakamitiyam Vidantas Te Santakshiti Virachara Katipaye Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol Shrimad Bhagavatam Canto 2 Chapter 9 Verse number 40 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate, let's see, this number 39, I'm sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Antarhitendri Yattataya Hare Vihitanjali Sarvabhuta Mayo Vishwam Sajajetam Chapurvavad Antarhita on the disappearance. Indriya Artaya unto the personality of Godhead, the objective of all senses. Haraye unto the Lord. Vihita Anjali, in folded hands. Sarvabhuta, all living entities. Maya, full of. Vishwan. See, you notice Maya, there's no long A's, so it has a different meaning. Vishvam, the universe. Sasarja, created. Idam, this. Sa, he, Brahmaji. Purvavat, exactly like before. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. On the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who is the object of transcendental enjoyment for the senses of devotees, Brahma, with folded hands, began to recreate the universe full of living entities as it was previously. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the object for fulfilling the senses of all living entities. Illusion by the glaring reflection of the external energy, the living entities worship the senses instead of engaging them properly in fulfilling the desires of the Supreme. In the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya 13.2, there is the following verse: Akishno phalam twadrisha darsanam hi tano phalam twadrisha gatra sangha jiva phalam twadrisha kirtananam hi sudurlabha bhagavata hi loke. O devotee of the Lord, the purpose of the visual sense is fulfilled simply by seeing you. And to touch your body is the fulfillment of bodily touch. The tongue is meant for glorifying your qualities, because in this world, a pure devotee of the Lord is very difficult to find. Originally, the senses of the living entity were awarded for this purpose, namely to engage them in the transcendental loving service of the Lord or that of His devotees. But the conditioned souls, illusioned by the material energy, became captivated by sense enjoyment. Therefore, the whole process of God consciousness is meant to rectify the conditional activities of the senses and to re-engage them in the direct service of the Lord. Lord Brahma thus engaged his senses in the Lord by recreating the conditioned living entities to act in the recreated universe. So it doesn't necessarily say here that Brahma created the universe or recreated the universe, but it does say that he recreated the conditioned living entities. This material universe is thus created and annihilated by the will of the Lord. It is created to give the conditioned soul a chance to act, to return home back to Godhead. So this is the purpose of the material nature. The purpose is not sense gratification. Instead of doing so, that is, i.e. means that is, converting the actions of the senses, the impersonalists began to make the conditioned soul senseless, and the Lord also senseless. This is improper treatment for the conditioned souls. The diseased condition of the senses may be treated by curing the defect, but not by uprooting the senses altogether. When there is some disease in the eyes may be cured to see properly. Plucking out the eyes is no treatment. Similarly, the whole material disease is based on the process of sense gratification, and liberation from the disease condition is re-engagement of the senses to see the beauty of the Lord, hear His glories, and act on His account. Thus, Brahmaji created the universal activities again. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So here we see the major difference between impersonalism and personalism. And this also explains the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. So what is that difference? In the material world, there is impersonalism. But in the spiritual world, there is no impersonalism. And Krishna consciousness is the process of using the senses to please the senses of Krishna. Whereas in the material world, the Mayavadis, they want to annihilate the senses, destroy them, and destroy Krishna. Personalism. Krishna's personalism is his person. And just focus on merging into the impersonal Brahman. So we see there's major differences between impersonalism or Mayavadism and Krishna consciousness. So, there's an important point, and this was in the previous verse number 38. There is no impersonalism in the material world, in the spiritual world. But there is impersonalism in the material world. So, therefore, when a person develops knowledge of Krishna, then they realize that everything is individual and personal. This whole impersonalism is a hoax. It's false. It's anti-Krishna conscious. It is, therefore, demoniac. It is not, and anyone who takes the trouble to understand Mayavad philosophy by listening to their nonsense lectures and so forth, they risk never understanding Krishna consciousness. And I mean never, in this life or in the future. Okay. So, therefore, our senses are meant to be used in the service of Krishna. And therefore it says in this verse from the Haribhakta Sudodaya, O devotee of the Lord, the purpose of the visual sense is fulfilled simply by seeing you, seeing Krishna. Therefore, we have deity worship, to see the form of Krishna, and Radha and Krishna. And to touch your body is the fulfillment of bodily touch. Well, normal people are not allowed to touch the body of the Lord. But you can touch the body of the Lord's pure devotees. Right? So to touch your body, he's talking about the O devotee of the Lord, is the fulfillment of bodily touch. The tongue is meant for glorifying your qualities, because in this world, a pure devotee of the Lord is very difficult to find. So therefore, we should, on a daily basis, glorify Srila Prabhupada and touch his transcendental lotus feet. And when he was with us, it was not a good thing to touch his feet. Sometimes he may have allowed somebody to do that, but normally he would not. But here you can. And then finally, to glorify his transcendental qualities with the tongue. So Prabhupada says, originally the senses of the living entity were awarded for this purpose, namely to engage them in the transcendental loving service of the Lord or that of his devotees. But the conditioned souls, illusioned by the material energy, they're still illusioned today, right, became captivated by sense enjoyment. Therefore, the whole process of God consciousness is meant to rectify the conditioned activities of the senses and to re-engage them in the direct service of the Lord. So we should understand this. And wait a minute, we should teach our kids this, right? That if we don't understand it ourselves, we will not be able to teach our children or to teach anybody. And that is the dilemma today in ISKCON. Very few people understand this. They read it. They may even talk about it. But do they do it? That's the question. So, therefore, the whole process of God consciousness is meant to rectify the conditional activities of the senses and to re-engage them in the direct service of the Lord. Lord Brahma thus engaged his senses in the Lord by recreating the conditioned living entities to act in the recreated universe. So Krishna recreates the universe. Brahma recreates the living entities because he's the number one Prajapati, and he produces children, sons, who can also become Prajapatis. This material universe is thus created and annihilated by the will of the Lord. It is created to give the conditioned soul a chance to act to return home back to Godhead, and servants like Brahmaji, Naradaji, and Vyasaji and their company become busy with the same purpose of the Lord, to reclaim the conditioned souls from the field of sense gratification and return them to the normal stage of engaging the senses in service of the Lord. Instead of doing so, that is, converting the actions of the senses, the impersonalists began to make the conditioned souls senseless, and the Lord also senseless. That is improper treatment for the conditioned souls. The diseased condition of the senses may be treated by curing the defect, but not by uprooting the senses altogether. When there is some disease in the eyes may be cured to see properly. Plucking out the eyes is no treatment. Similarly, the whole material disease is based on the process of sense gratification, and liberation from the diseased condition is re-engagement of the senses to see the beauty of the Lord, hear his glories, and to act on his account. Thus, Brahmaji created the universal activities. There it is. It's a wonderful purport. The previous purport also is basically saying an introduction to this purport today. So, therefore, there are 6 favorable conditions for discharging devotional service. This is explained in 2nd Canto, 8th chapter, 21st verse, where it says, "The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is, Srimad Bhagavatam." So Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So right now we're hearing the sound incarnation of Krishna. Right? And it enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. So, the rains in autumn are important, because after the hot, scorching sun in the summertime, the rains during autumn are very relieving, and very refreshing. And Prabhupada says, a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Wow, look at that. Just imagine if we had an army of pure devotees. The whole world. If one person can make the whole world Krishna conscious, or deliver all the fallen souls back to Godhead, imagine what an army of pure devotees could do. Right? Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Sukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one's spiritual master, as Narada was empowered by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional service. Wow, this is better than being an IT person. The IT person can't even deliver himself. But a pure devotee can deliver the whole world. Now we understand what is real success in life. It's not becoming an IT person or AI person or whatever. It's becoming a pure devotee. If you really want to be successful, if you want to be a knuckle brain, an idiot, then you hang out with the idiots all day long. All they talk about is their 401k, how to invest their extra money in stocks, who won the Super Bowl, and talk about how, the politics are not so good. And then they talk about, I'm having trouble with my team leader. He's not treating me properly, right? Not recognizing all my qualities, And when they're going to give us our raise, or when are they going to give us our bonus? This is all they talk about, And sometimes they talk about cricket or sports or football or whatever, the Super Bowl. So this is all nonsense. It's a waste of life. It's a waste of human potential. Our potential should be to become a pure devotee of the Lord and deliver the whole material nature back to Krishna, back to Godhead. So it says, the comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy, but in the month of July and August, the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water that, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared. But by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods, like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics, can simply cleanse one's own heart, but devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general. By the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee, a true representative of the Lord like Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, paternal affection, or conjugal love. And by such self-realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And notice he didn't mention the neutral rasa with Krishna. He just mentioned the four active rasas with Krishna. You know, servitorship, friendship, parental, and conjugal. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narada self-realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus, and thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regular hearing and worshiping. By such actions, the accumulated material lusts, etc., became cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Purification of the heart by cultural knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleansing of a small quantity of stagnant water by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being, and the sediments settle down, but by a slight agitation, everything becomes muddy again. Right. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart of good for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Wow. So, I'm sorry, this was second canto, this was 285, yeah, what I wanted was 2821, but Krishna wanted me to read 285 though, that's for sure. Yeah, so what are the 6 types of favorable conditions for discharging devotional service? That's 2821. And it says, 1. The favorable conditions for discharging devotional service are that one should be very enthusiastic in serving the Lord. The Lord, in his form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted the cult of devotional service to the Lord to be preached all over the world, in every nook and corner. And therefore, a pure devotee's duty is to discharge this order as far as possible. Every devotee should be very enthusiastic, not only in performing his daily rituals of devotional service, but in trying to preach the cult peacefully by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. If he is not superficially successful in such an attempt, he should not be deterred from the discharge of his duty. Success or failure has no meaning for a pure devotee because he is a soldier in the field. Preaching the cult of devotional service is something like declaring war against materialistic life. There are different kinds of materialists, such as the fruitive workers, the mental speculators, the mystic jugglers, and so many others. All of them are against the existence of Godhead. They would declare that they are themselves God, although in every step and in every action they are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, a pure devotee may not associate with such gangs of atheists. Whoa. Who is associating with gangs of atheists? Our kids, every day, with gangs of them, right? And who is associating also with gangs of atheists? All of us. They're going to work in these companies. They're all atheists. And it's very bad association. Very, very bad association. And it doesn't lead to success. It leads to failure in life because one just becomes more attached to sense gratification. So, number 1 is enthusiasm. Number 2, follow the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preach. Number 3, do not be discouraged by failure. Failure or success are not pertinent to the devotee. The devotee obviously is working for success, but if there's failure, he's not discouraged at all. Number 4, do not associate with nonsense people. A strong devotee of the Lord will not be misled by such atheistic propaganda due to associating with gangs of atheists. A strong devotee of the Lord will not be misled by such atheistic propaganda of the non-devotees, but a neophyte devotee should be very cautious about them. We are all neophytes, believe me. A devotee should see to the right discharge of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and should not stick only to the formalities. That is, one can follow the rules and regulations, but not really make spiritual advancement because they're not really interested in it. They're just making a show. Oh yeah, I chanted my rounds today. Yeah, oh yeah, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I do this, or I do that. But if they're not changing, what is the change? The change is when you become an actual effective preacher. That means that you are hearing very diligently every day. You're learning new things and new strategies, and your mind is focused on how to spread this movement and make new people devotees and help the existing devotees remain devotees and be more and more serious about their devotional service. Okay, number 4 is do not associate with nonsense people. Number 5, remain under the guidance of a pure devotee. Number 6, no hankering. Be satisfied with Krishna's mercy. So these are 6 favorable things for discharging devotional service. What are they? 1, be enthusiastic. Enthusiastic means if you make good, intelligent decisions to be Krishna conscious, you will be enthusiastic. You will be enthusiastic. Just like when I see the second food truck, I get excited, right? And now I'm thinking about the third one. And when I see the Arlington farm, when I saw the Arlington farm yesterday working, the tractor came, this gigantic, powerful tractor. The cows are there. The sawdust is there. The hay is there. Garuda and his whole family are there. and it's working. And then we made a big plan yesterday with Radhika Gopinath and myself. We went up there. We saw exactly how we're going to build the fences, and where we're going to put them, and what we're going to do, and we're going to do two types of growing. We're going to do intensive growing in boxes, and we're going to do intensive big agriculture and growing all kinds of grains, and of course flowers too, but mainly in the big fields. I mean, Radhika Gopinath was amazed at how much land we have. Even I was amazed yesterday. I didn't realize we have a huge amount of land, 5 times more than Auburn Farm. There's such a potential there. And then on top of all that, yesterday I told Radhika Gopinath, we're going to now really reproduce the Gyr cows, and we'll make a Gyr dairy in Arlington. Just Gyr milk there. And of course we're getting a milk. Did it go through or not?
This week, very close.
Okay. And we're going to own that, the other farm, the dairy. We're going to have 2 dairies. One is a Gyr dairy, and the other one is the Guernsey dairy. The Gyr dairy is going to be dynamite. Once we do that, the Indians are all going to want it. All right, we're going to do it. We're going to increase our herd. Now I'm letting Narayana hang out with all the girls, and we're going to bring Lakshmi from Arlington back to the farm, and the 2 cows, 2 female cows that are with Mike. He's giving them back to us this week or next week, and they're going to go up. Narayana is going to be in ecstasy. I can guarantee it. Yeah. And we have another bull. We have 3 bulls. We have Balaji, and we have Madhava, and we have Narayana. Now, I might neuter Madhava, but what I'm saying is, there's a whole new area of preaching and developing, and it's really important that our kids get into it. We need veterinarians. We need soil amendment experts, microbiologists. We need some computer guys also, and definitely we need electricians, plumbers. We need dairy people. We need horticulturalists, and we need experts on trees, experts on plants, and experts on flowers. I mean, whole new types of generating, let's say, income is going to be produced there, and then we're going to buy other farms. There's one farm now that's coming up for sale right across the street from our farm, and I told Guru to go and talk to the guy again, the second time, tell him we want to buy it, definitely, and we're going to buy all those farms. There's about 6, 7, 8 farms there, and this one family from Bihar, they bought 26 acres there. Now they got permission of building a house, and they got really excited when they talked to Garuda, because Garuda said we're gonna have a temple there. And they got really excited when they said that, and they're very smart. The Chinese people who owned the farm that we have sold 26 acres. They bought this dairy, and then they bought, and with it came 26 acres of flat land on the other side of the street. And these people from Bihar bought it. Now they have permission to build a house, and they grow hay there, and they sell at $60 a bale. And they're smart. They're very smart. They knew exactly what they were doing. And now they're going to have a 26-acre farm. They're going to grow flowers. They're going to grow hay, and they're going to move there. They live in Linwood now. They're going to move there and make that their lifestyle. So you see, it's going to happen. It is going to happen big time, and our kids should get into it. We need all these different types of professions to make this project a generational project. And this is exactly what Prabhupada wanted. Simple living, high thinking. So, anyway, so these are the 6 kinds of favorable things one can do to be Krishna conscious. Then again, yeah, so 273 is another very important verse, 273, where it says, the Lord then appeared as Kapila incarnation, being the son of the Prajapati Brahmana Kardama and his wife, Devahuti, along with 9 other women, sisters. He spoke to his mother about self-realization, by which, in that very lifetime, she became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila Muni. So, this incarnation of Krishna as Kapila Muni is explained in the 3rd chapter, 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And anyone who follows the instructions given by Kapila Muni can achieve the same liberation obtained by Devahuti. Now, Devahuti, she was married to Kardama Muni. So as soon as Kardama Muni got her pregnant, she had, I think it was 9 daughters. And because it says that women are 9 times more sexually agitated than men. Therefore, she had 9 daughters, and all those daughters were married off to very prominent demigods. And then, when her husband said, well, now I'm going to leave, and she said, no, you can't leave. You have to give me a son. So he did that, and then as soon as Kapila Muni was born, he left and took total renunciation. So when Kapila Muni grew up, his mother asked him to instruct her in Krishna consciousness, and he did. And then she became a pure devotee, just like him. So this it's a great, it's tremendous pastime. There's a lot of wonderful instructions given by Kapila Muni to his mother, and his mother's realizations, and so forth. So it says, the Lord spoke Bhagavad Gita, and thereby Arjuna achieved self-realization. In the same way, Kapila Muni spoke to his mother, and she also attained the same liberation as she also attained liberation. So then, the scriptures are meant for this purpose. Foolish, unintelligent persons make their own interpretations by imagination and thus mislead their followers, causing them to remain in the dungeon of material existence. However, simply by following the instructions imparted by Lord Krishna or Lord Kapila, one can obtain the highest benefit even today. Even today. The word Atmagatim is significant in the sense of perfect knowledge of the Supreme. One should not be satisfied simply by knowing the qualitative equality of the Lord and the living being. One should know the Lord as much as can be known by our limited knowledge. It is impossible for the Lord to be known perfectly as he is, even by such liberated persons as Shiva or Brahma. So what to speak of other demigods or men in this world? Still, by following the principles of the great devotees and the instructions available in the scriptures, one can know to a considerable extent the features of the Lord. His Lordship Kapila, the incarnation of the Lord, instructed his mother fully about the personal form of the Lord, and thereby she realized the personal form of the Lord and was able to achieve a place in the Vaikuntha Loka, where Lord Kapila predominates. Every incarnation of the Lord has his own abode in the spiritual sky. Therefore, Lord Kapila also has his separate Vaikuntha planet. The spiritual sky is not void. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in each of them, the Lord, by his innumerable expansions, predominates, and the pure devotees who are there also live in the same style as the Lord and his eternal associates. When the Lord descends personally or by his personal plenary expansions, such incarnations are called Amsa, Kala, Guna, Yuga, and Manvantara incarnations, and when the Lord's associates descend by the order of the Lord, such incarnations are called Shaktavasha incarnations. But in all cases, all the incarnations are supported by the invulnerable statements of the authorized scriptures. Invulnerable means you cannot conquer them. They are unconquerable statements. And not by any imagination of some self-interested propagandists. Such incarnations of the Lord, in either of the above categories, always declare the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate truth. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Truth is just a process of negation of the form of the Lord from the mundane conception of the Supreme Truth. So in other words, the Mayavad philosophy is nonsense. Right? The living entities, by their very constitution, are spiritually as good as the Lord, and the only difference between them is the Lord is always supreme and pure, without contamination by the modes of material nature, whereas the living entities are apt to be contaminated by association with the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. This contamination by the material modes can be washed off completely by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. That is the process. That is the secret. Knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. This is what should be taught to our children. Spiritual knowledge, that means Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Renunciation, giving up all forms of sense gratification. You know, staying up late playing on the Instagram or the internet, going to movies, and talking nonsense. What kind of car do you want? I want a BMW. Oh yeah? Do you want it convertible or you want it hard, hard top? No, I want a convertible. You know, and I want to get all the bells and whistles. I want to get this thing and that thing in the car, and then blah 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 blah. They talk like that. Kids talk like that. You know. Now our kids are talking like that, and this is nonsense. Because we're not teaching them properly. And in the end, we'll end up like that also. If we're nonchalant about Krishna consciousness, I mean, not really interested in preaching it, number one, to our own kids, and how about outside people also, then we're not going to really make that major step forward in Krishna consciousness from just being an ordinary ho-hum person to being focused on what is the absolute truth and how to present it in an understandable way to other people. The whole goal is to become a real preacher of Krishna consciousness. And everyone can do it if they're pushed to do it. There has to be a push. Otherwise we'll never get out of our comfort zone. The push is not only initiation. Initiation is only the beginning. It's not the end. It's the beginning. Because that means we promise that we're going to follow the regulative principles. And especially chant minimum 16 rounds a day. Good rounds. But that's only the beginning. There's a lot more. And much, much more. Okay, so it's just like, okay, you put a foundation, but that's not the building. That's just the foundation. Now you got to build the building, the skyscraper going all the way back to Godhead. This contamination by the material modes can be washed off completely by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate issue, and therefore those who are directly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord not only acquire the necessary knowledge in spiritual science, but also attain detachment from material connection and are thus promoted to the kingdom of God by complete liberation, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mam chayo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevates sagunam samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Even in a non-liberated stage, a living entity can be directly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, or his plenary expansions like Rama and Narasingha. Thus, with the proportionate improvement of such transcendental devotional service, the devotee makes definite progress toward Brahma Gatim, or Atma Gatim, and ultimately attains Kapilasya Gatim, or the abode of the Lord, without difficulty. The antiseptic potency of devotional service to the Lord is so great that it can neutralize the material infection even in the present life of a devotee. A devotee does not need to wait for his next birth for complete liberation. There you go. You can be liberated now, here and now. You don't have to wait till you die to be liberated. Okay, so this is all. What time is it now? Right. So this is all high-class information, very high-class information. So, if we really want to be a devotee, then we have to hear these things and believe that it's possible. Believe that it's possible that you can make a living without being in IT. And you can make a living in such a way that you're Krishna conscious and you have all your needs taken care of without this day and night anxiety of corporate life. And you can become an effective preacher and lead many other people to Krishna consciousness. See, you don't have to make money. You can make devotees, and they will supply everything you need to progress Krishna consciousness. That is what Prabhupada gives the example of the snake and the rat. The rat makes a hole in the ground, right? So when the snake goes into the hole, he eats the rat, and now he's got the hole also, the house for himself. So he gave that example. He said, you don't have to do it. You don't have to have businesses and things like that. He said, just preach. Become a preacher. Everybody else has made money. There's millions and billions of dollars out there, much more than you can make in your lifetime, right? There are people with billions and billions of dollars. The only problem is they don't know how to spend it properly. If we teach them how to spend it properly, then you don't have to have a business. You don't have to work in a factory or in IT. You just preach, and if you preach properly and you're not greedy and you're not like, let's say, engaged in sense gratification, Krishna empowers you, and you'll be able to do miraculous things like Prabhupada did. He did miraculous things. He didn't have any business. He didn't work in a factory. This one devotee, he was the leader, and very trusted by Prabhupada, and he made a decision to send all the devotees to work in a cigarette factory to make money to pay for the temple expenses. And Prabhupada wrote him, I'll read the letter tomorrow. He wrote him a devastating letter. He said, basically said, what the hell are you doing? He said, we didn't start a temple to send our devotees to work in a cigarette factory. He said, and why a cigarette factory of all things? He really scolded this devotee. He said, take him out immediately. We didn't start this movement to get the devotees working in a cigarette factory. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? Emphasized, yes.
So what actually is the Santa Rasa?
Santa Rasa is like grass or trees in the spiritual world. They're always in anticipation of being touched by Krishna's lotus feet. Right? It's not like, well, even the birds will sing for Krishna, right? But Santa is they're always in anticipation of being touched by the Lord. But when your let's say excitement for the Lord or appreciation of the Lord increases, then you go to service. You know, and then that increases, you become an intimate friend. When that increases, you become a parent. When that increases, you become a conjugal lover. So there is progression in the spiritual world also. But they usually don't mention the Shantarasa because what's emphasized is devotional service to the Lord. Shantarasa is one of the five, let's say, intimate rasas. But there's different degrees of excitement and love for the Lord, even in the spiritual world. Hari Bol. Okay, so now we'll have our Aarti ceremony. Boy, I didn't even get to the laws of nature. You see, going back to these purports that we've read, it's like you're hearing it for the first time, right? They're just amazing purports by Prabhupada, you know, and it's giving so much information. Hari Bol. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Satma Bando Mui Savadana Mate Shri Guru Charani Padman Kevala Bhakati Sadma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Mando Mui Savadana Mate Janara Prasade Bhai He Bhavatori Ajayi Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Goriya Aikya Arana Koriya Mane Asa Aranakoria manea sa. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttamagati. Ye prasade pure sarvas sa. Ye prasade pure sarvas sa. Chakshudana dila jaya janame janme Prabhu se. Chakshudana dila jaya janme janme Prabhu se. Divya gyani de prokasito. Divya Gyani de Prokasito. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate. Vedega Janara Charito. Prema Bhakti Jahari Vedega Janara Charito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Janara Bandhu. Lokenat Lokera Jivana. Lokenat Lokera Jivana. Ha Prabhu Kuradoya Deya More Padachaya. Ha Prabhu Kuradoya Deya More Padachaya. Ebe asa gusukti bhuvana. Ebe asa gusukti bhuvana. Ha Prabhu Koradoya Teha Mure Padachaya. Ha Prabhu Koradoya Deha More Padachaya. Ebe asa gusukti bhuvana. Ebe asa gusukti bhuvana. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Sahaminiti Namine Nama. Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Mati Bhakti Vedanya Swaminiti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Imati Bhakti Vedanya Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nidvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvachikansara Astatara Satarishi Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakti Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samkunda Radha Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sri Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Samavita Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Patita Pavana ki jai, Gaura Premanandi Haribol. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharya. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which you can attain the pure devotional service. I I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Haribol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. Namaste. Both